Is the SoundCore Liberty 4 so good that it's going to liberate you of all your wireless earbuds? And can it even replace your smartwatch? Khudda khuya DHRME. Dope headphone reviews made easy.
The Liberty 4 is priced at $149 to start with. SoundCore has been on a roll recently with its audio products, and having established its sound quality credentials, SoundCore is now making a first foray into health. And you know what? They've done pretty well. Let's start with the superficial though. In terms of design, we like stems better than buds in general, and the follower to the Liberty Air 2 Pro is stemmy. These aren't touch stems but pressure stems. Pressure stems seem to be having a moment, and these work well, no issues. We did struggle with finding a good control scheme to begin with, but after some trial and error, we ended up with a squeeze combination that let us easily change volume, switch between noise cancelling and ambient mode, play or pause, and skip forward or back. It's not as convenient as a swipe, but you get it all. The Liberty 4's case is on the smaller side for SoundCore cases, but it's still not the most compact. The sliding lid is a nice touch for one-handed opening, and at least there's no issues with aligning magnets like we had on the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro. But many times I slid the wrong side and needed to keep rotating before I found the right side. The Knight Rider look is wicked, as well as the light show inside the case when you place the buds in the case or open up the case, almost as if the case is sanitizing your earbuds. But this is interesting, neither the box nor the literature mention any IP rating.
And we'll soon see why that IP rating is so important. But an important note here is that SoundCore told us that these buds have been sent for an IPX4 rating, so they're in that whole rating process. We do want to mention that we review products as we receive them, and since this is an early review, we can't talk much about whether or not this will be rated. But if this is not rated IPX4, we would certainly advise against buying this product, because as you will see later, it has some special features for health and fitness, and all those features would be essentially useless if you have a product that is not rated for any kind of water or sweat. So keep that in mind when you hit the link to buy this product. Look out for that IP rating. In terms of comfort, these are very comfortable, and even though the tips were grippy, after about 10 to 15 minutes of running, we found that we had to adjust them in our ears. Okay, this is really interesting. I'm a medium-sized tips guy, and there are two types of medium tips in the box. But somehow while removing the first medium tip, the inner ring broke off. So naturally I tried the second medium tip, and ouch! The M2 tip penetrates really deep, and man, I do not like being violated in that way. If these were the default tips, I'd have said just don't buy these buds, they're super uncomfortable. But luckily I know that these buds can be comfortable, so be careful about which tips you're using, and that makes a world of difference. Maybe I'll borrow Kevin's tips since he's a small now, but it's an interesting approach that probably caters to more types of ears out there. Ooh, one more thing about these tips. These tips are, transparent and see-through, as you can see here. So you cannot just change out these tips with aftermarket tips, because that will interfere with the heart rate reading. So that's something to keep in mind. In terms of battery life, these are above average on the bud, but the case doesn't hold much charge. SoundCore rates these at 7 hours on the buds with ANC on, and an additional 17 hours from the case. Fast charging is on board too, with 15 minutes giving you 3 hours of use. Wireless charging is also on board. This is great for the winter since it heats up the earbuds. Best feeling ever when you place them in your ears. Almost like wearing socks, but for your ears.
These earbuds are also packed to the gills with extras. Yes, you can use multi-point to connect to 2 devices simultaneously and switch on the fly. You get a device list in the app that clearly shows which devices you're connected to, and you can disconnect or connect to those devices or a new one from there. The app works on iPhone and Android quite reliably. You are going to have to choose between this feature though and using LDAC. One place where SoundCore has still not managed to surpass the big boys is ANC and transparency. These have all the features on board, including Hear ID ANC and 2 transparency modes. There's no wind noise cancellation option in the app, but that's fine because when we were on the bike, we couldn't hear the wind interrupting our audio at all. Let's see how they actually perform in other conditions though.
Alright guys, let's dive into some graphs about the active noise cancelling and the transparency on the Liberty 4. So we're going to compare the active noise cancelling on the Liberty 4 with the AirPods Pro and just like go through the different modes because we think that's what it's most comparable to. We think that the ANC is kind of on par with the AirPods first generation, which is saying something. They were really quite the standard when they were out, and these aren't premium buds, so that's impressive. So let's look at the graphs a little bit. I'll turn everything off. This is the noise level that I recorded using my full range FR speakers. We're using a KRK VXT4 to get some kind of a flat, there's not really a flat frequency response as you see, but this is the noise level we're talking about. And the peak noise level was about 75 dB. So the SPL scale isn't quite configured, but we'll work with what we have for now. Okay, so then I plugged in the Liberty 4 and just on passive mode, you can see that there was a certain amount of noise reduction here. This is just passive, no noise cancelling on, nothing. So you can see that the mid and the mid and the higher frequencies are attenuated quite a bit by just plugging in and getting a good seal. This is why good seal is so important, guys, and we'll go on to see even more. And now this was passive. We turn on active noise cancelling and you can see the huge difference, especially in the low end and also in the mid and the highs, but especially in the low end. And that's what active noise cancelling is very good at eliminating those low end predictable sounds like bus engines or airplanes and things like that. Let's compare this with how the AirPods Pro first generation perform in terms of ANC. I'll turn off that passive business. And this is the AirPods Pro. So as you see, especially in this area, the AirPods Pro are way better, right? So you see that this peak is so much lower than what the Liberty 4 has. But actually, if you're listening to it, you're not really going to hear much. So for example, here, you see that the AirPods Pro has a bit of a bump. Again, for us, if you're really using your ears, they're comparable, except in this area, in the mids, we did notice, not to a large extent, but there was a difference where the AirPods Pro attenuated much more sound and the Liberty 4 let in a bit more sound. Now that was ANC. How do they do in terms of transparency? We're glad you asked. So this is the AirPods Pro's transparency mode, and AirPods Pro, as you guys know, has only one transparency mode. The Liberty 4 has two, typical SoundCore. So you have a vocal transparency mode. I'll turn off the noise actually I'll keep the noise on. So this is what you would hear without any earbuds. This is what you hear with AirPods Pro, and you can see it's very close to the actual noise level. That's why we are so impressed with the AirPods Pro first generation even now. And what we especially like is this little bit of sparkle that the AirPods Pro adds to the transparency in the high end. It actually helps compensate for some of that muffled nature of a passive seal. So that's what the AirPods Pro does, and this is what the Liberty 4 does. So you see the green graph now in this one. So this is the Liberty 4, and as you can see, they are very similar. Again, the Liberty 4 kind of underperforms in the lower range here, but that is completely forgivable because we're talking about transparency. You don't want to hear the lower end so much more. And you see that at the mid range, where it really matters for voices and things like that, they're like neck and neck. I would say that the Liberty 4 even beats the AirPods Pro in this scenario. The Liberty 4 has another trick up its sleeve, which is it has a vocal mode. And then if I just take off everything else, you see this is the full transparency. So you see the lower end is also being let in, this difference between the green and the purple here. And this is the vocal transparency. So in the mid and the high, they're kind of very almost identical, you could say. And this is the lower end that gets cut out more. So what's the conclusion here, guys? The transparency is decent. It does have a lot of white noise in the transparency, so that sound that's not very pleasant, but it is what it is. What it also does well is noise cancelling. It is still not up to the level of even the AirPods Pro first generation, but for all practical purposes, you could consider them to be identical, because when you actually use your ears, they are. Compared to the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro, the transparency is clearly louder. So I think that's an improvement on the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro. But the ANC is on par, we thought, and maybe slightly better than the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro. And that's what we have for ANC and transparency. Back to the video. I mean, this was the video, but back to the other part of the video. You know what I'm saying. I should stop talking now.
These days, dual drivers are fast becoming the norm, and SoundCore is absolutely bringing it with the Liberty 4. You get all the usual staples: LDAC, full EQ capabilities, presets, and a new addition. With an onboard gyroscope, SoundCore is trying to pull an Apple by adding spatial audio. And you know what? As Steve Jobs once said, good artists copy, great artists steal. And the thing is, SoundCore hasn't done a shabby job of it. You can see that they've put thought and effort into replicating Apple's spatial audio signature. You can have head tracking or fixed spatial mode that gives you a nice soundstage. We remember trying Samsung's 360 audio implementation, and it really felt like a gimmick compared to what the SoundCore is bringing. Watching movies in movie mode really brought the explosions to life, even if it did add a bit of boominess and took away from the accuracy. The music mode created a bigger soundstage and added width to the music. So even though it doesn't have the AirPods Pro 2 spatial audio ear scanning for personalized spatial audio, it does do a good job of getting close to Apple's implementation.
In terms of sound signature, these are very V-shaped. Turning on ANC causes even more bass and scoops out the mids a tiny bit more. The bass is solid, sub-bass is nice and round, and the presence of the bass can sometimes interfere with the lower mids, but overall the bass is nice and can deliver that punch for your workouts. More on workouts later. The higher frequencies, as usual, are emphasized as well, as is the SoundCore way. It gives you a sense of openness, sure, but there is some sibilance and it causes certain timbre issues to instruments like hi-hats and even toms on a drum kit. Think of something like Slipknot, where the drum rolls always seem to have kind of a glassy edge to them. Having said that, I prefer these to the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro, where the treble can be a bit too piercing. The instrument separation is also crazy good, but the extreme V-shape also means that the mids are heavily scooped out, so vocals sound like they're way in the back of the room. Thankfully, SoundCore lets you fix this with their abundance of EQ options in the app. We like their flat EQ preset, where we felt like we got some of the mids back. We dropped the 12.8 kHz bar a bit more, and that was kind of where we ended up. On LDAC, the higher frequencies will be better resolved and they do sound cleaner. What does all of this mean? For sound, this is yet another winner from SoundCore.
So speaking of winners, is the Liberty 4 a good pick for your calling needs? Listen to a few samples in different environmental conditions compared to the Liberty 3 Pro. See you on the other side.
Alright guys, outdoors, quiet street, mic test on the Liberty 4. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Alright guys, mic test on the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro. Quiet environment. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Alright, noisy environment with cars in the background. Liberty 4. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Alright guys, a noisier test with a bunch of cars in the background on the Liberty 3 Pro. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing.
SoundCore Liberty 4, slightly breezy conditions. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. And now this is the SoundCore Liberty 3 Pro with slightly windy conditions. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3. Pop pop popsicle, ice ice icicle, test test testing, 1 2 3.
Damn, both of these earbuds have that SoundCore sauce all over them that it's hard to distinguish them. In our opinion, either is fine in a quiet environment. When there's a lot of background noise, you notice that SoundCore applies a harsh noise cancelling, which does great to kill the background noise, but at the same time, the voice does sound somewhat muffled. In the wind, something similar happens. The noise cancelling isn't as harsh, making the voice clearer, but at the cost of hearing a bit of the wind. In our opinion, either are passable in outdoor situations for a quick call. But when we talk about the Fachmann controls you get on board these earbuds, the Liberty 4 is below average. You only get the basics of answering and hanging up a call. No volume, muting, or changing ANC mode. You can only change the ANC mode from within the app. The Liberty 3 Pro is the same, except that it does support volume control straight from the earbuds.
We didn't think that SoundCore would make a serious effort at heart rate monitoring, but it was so accurate that we were surprised. There seems to be a delay of about half a second for the data to show up on the screen compared to something like the Galaxy Watch Pro. But after the fact, the numbers they don't lie. Also, comparing this to a medical grade pulse oximeter when at rest, the heart rate sensor fared well. In fact, if anything, sometimes the Galaxy Watch Pro didn't quite record the right heart rate because the strap position changed slightly. Now, in general, we try to conserve our energy as much as possible, but just for you guys, I recorded a high intensity 10-minute workout, including stairs, running, regular old walking, taking short breaks, and doing jumping jacks, just to see how Liberty 4 handles the heart rate sensor. And man, these are impressive. I also took off my shirt to wear the Polar H10 heart rate sensor. There won't be any footage of that, thankfully, which is our benchmark here. And I had both buds in my ears and music playing all the time as well, just to be sure that that doesn't interfere with the heart rate sensor. We think that just for heart rate, these might be a better bet than a smartwatch, because look how close the readings are to the Polar H10 chest strap as compared to the Galaxy Watch Pro.
But before we go too far with this, will these earbuds replace your smartwatch? Well, SoundCore would like you to think so, but of course not. And we think that's due to 3 reasons. 1, you get much more than just heart rate information from premium smartwatches. Things like blood oxygen saturation, and if you're on a run, distance, maps, pace, cadence, all those additional stats can be had due to all the additional sensors you have on a watch. 2, a smartwatch is a Swiss Army knife. You have an infinitely extensible device due to apps. Well, not infinitely, but certainly more than earbuds, because you can install apps to control your smart home or even use it as a flashlight in certain situations. 3, smartwatches are as much a fashion accessory as a computer on your wrist, so you're not going to be using earbuds to attract potential mates. Having said that, if the only use you get out of a smartwatch is heart rate sensing for an idea of how you're doing for workouts, that's a really great feature to have. Also, you don't need to have another device to carry with you and charge. So, should you get the SoundCore Liberty 4? Well, we think these are really pretty excellent mid-range buds. We'd even go as far as to call them the king at this price point. We even personally prefer their sound signature and fit to the Liberty 3 Pro. Their heart rate sensor is a nice bonus and surprisingly accurate. They support multi-point, have decent battery life, and call quality in quiet conditions are fine despite any special call controls. All in all, SoundCore has done good on these new earbuds. You've been measuring your heart with your ears, and we've been DHRME. Namaste.